Hi guys. Hello. How is everybody? Hopefully y'all have had a good day. It has been a chaotic as fuck day here. But we got some good news about the storage unit and some bad news. Bad news is, storage unit lady is still a bitch. But she's still nice to other people. At least. Bad news also is that I think I know what's wrong with the internet and why it's blipping now, even though I've stabilized it enough for y'all. I think our cell booster, because we don't have service at the house, is what's causing it. I think it's like burning out our router. But I forgot to have Zeph unplug it today before he went to work. But I am gonna unplug it for tomorrow's stream. And then we'll go ahead and see if that fixes it. If not, we're just gonna have to replace the router. Which I'm hoping that's not the case. But you live and you learn. But anyways, good news. Storage unit, we have until Friday. So she told Morg $200, but that was if we wanted to just clean it out this weekend and be done with it, which is the worst case scenario. Because I can't fit everything in the storage unit in my car, even if I did multiple trips, because Mama Lunar has some furniture in there that does not fit in my car. Like, I don't know how I would fit a twin-size medical bed in my car, if that tells you. So while it would be theoretically cheaper, I would have to have more, like, I'd have to pay U-Haul for a U-Haul, pay for some friends to come help me actually lift stuff. Because her desk is so heavy. So that's the worst case scenario. Because I'm sure I could find friends that would just like, hey, we'll pay you back when Zeph gets paid kind of thing. But if we get to 285, which we are like $40 away from that, from between Mama Lunar and Echo and Mystery. Also, I have to put the sticky notes on for. I don't know how to do the typing on the sticky note. Neko's there. Oh, I think I know how Morg did it. Wait, one sec, chat. Stuff, free to use model stuff. Sticky notes. Blank. Player. Name. Color wheel. Ah, I'm being pelted. Hi, Mystery. How was you? Thank you for redeeming your daily sacrifice. Okay, file, save as. Oh, that's a ADN. Button. I'm at work. You're early for a change. Yeah, I just wanted to be able to give you guys some extra time on the Donathon. Speaking of, while I'm doing the names, we're gonna do similar to the subathon, but not quite. So y'all are gonna be able to, like, you're gonna get me for every night until Thursday. Thursday night will be the last night, at least unless you guys add time to the timer. That it'll be from 5 to 9. That gives you guys extra time. And I don't normally like streaming at 5 because it makes me rush for the rest of my day. But it is what we're gonna have to do to be able to do that. Also, hi Midnight. Sorry, I was tabbed out. I was getting Mystery and Neko's sticky notes. Alright, Mystery, where do you want yours? Got Neko on my head. Good, hope you're having a decent day. It's been a good day, it's just been a crazy day. Because the new emotes are done. I have to wait for 80. So, you see how I've got Neko's sticky note on my head? It's because where you donated. I'm putting y'all sticky notes. So you get to choose where. The only thing I ask is not my mouth or my eyes. If you want it on like an earring or on a horn, I can do that. So, pick your poison. On the inflatables? Okay. I figured that's what you were gonna say. Here, we'll put you on that one. Hello, guys. Yeah, I know I said that already, but hi, Mystery. Hi, Midnight. Hi to the lurkers. I know y'all don't like being called out, but I also am gonna have to keep paint.net open so we can make new sticky notes as we go along. But I hope everybody's having a good day. Like I said earlier, it's been a crazy day. I think I did put it in the Discord that we technically only need $30 more for worst case, well, for best case scenario. But the more we can do, the better for Mama Lunar. I am not kidding you guys. When I told her about the 150 from Mystery and Neko, she teared up. And it takes a lot to make Mama Lunar cry. I can count on 2 hands the amount of times I've seen her cry in my life. And I'm 25. Mostly they were for bad reasons. I've never actually seen her cry from joy and relief. But you guys did make her cry. And she does appreciate it. But as long as we can get to the 285, I will be able to do the rest myself with Spark Driving. Because when we get to 285, that's what she wants by Friday to give us 3 months to get things paid up. Mama Lunar can keep up the upkeep on the unit. I just don't know how it got paid that far behind. Now, because I don't trust this lady, I will go in there and be like, hey, just to cover my own ass, this is how much for this. I don't know if Zeph and I are going to be able to do anything with ours, but worst case scenario, we ask, hey, can I get like a couple sentimental things out and be done? I will chat not disappear when I rotate the screen. You can click the little hide chat thing. Oh, I need to grab a drink to hydrate. Let me go grab that drink, chat, and then as soon as I'm back, we will get started with Cult of the Lamb. And I did install crowd control. However, that does mean that I can't use the actual Twitch extension because they both take the overlay 1 slot. That I did install crowd control. Never mind, figured it out. Heck yeah. Hi, Billy. Sorry. How much are we working towards for the Donathon? I'm still doing the 300 totals, what we have listed. But I'm counting the stuff from you guys as what we already have. So that is, I think I put it in Discord. 245 is what we have currently out of the total amount. Total amount is 481.33. She did try to tell Morg that it was $500, and I called that out so quickly when I got on the phone with the lady. I am gonna have to use my keyboard for a little bit at least, as much as I want to use controller, because my headset's dying. But one thing I forgot to do was charge it. Alright, and let's go ahead and start the timer. I think, mystery. I am not good at math. Timer's going. Listen, y'all should know I am not good at math. 133 minus 245. Yes, mystery, that is exactly it. I just tried to grab my controller. I used a calculator. I did too. I'm leaving that up off to the side. There we go. Why is my headset like this? I plugged it in just now, and it says battery 80% when it said 10% when I was in the kitchen. I don't know if you guys can hear my headset when I press that. Okay. Weazen's still in prison. Release. Dig this up real quick, and then I'm gonna make some food for y'all. Oh god, Guizen's coming. Hi, banana. How was you? How's my favorite banana? Okay, fine, I'll give you guys places to poop. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. I need to start crowd control now that I'm thinking of. Start session. I just woke up. That's fair. I also forgot to turn on Pulsoid. I woke up early. Oh, there's Lizard. Oh, the bot. That reminds me. Thank you, Mystery. There you go. Lizard. Wait, it works from the emote? Oh my god, I love that. But basically how I set up the Donothon timer is... I need 5 wooden planks. Okay, that can process while I go get more wood. Rita's no longer scared of me. I have some blessings while I'm here. You have a reward. There's also a couple new redeems I made. I made a squish redeem. I made a... fuck. I made a stinky redeem. You tab, but I need to do things before Fram comes home. No worries. Thank you for lurking, banana. God, I woke up so early today. I don't know why I did. I woke up at like 8:45 on my own, and I went to bed at like 3. Like, I woke up to the artist from my emotes saying, "Hey, they're done. Here, do they look okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, they look great." And then I woke up again later and I noticed a very, very small thing with them. Which, I put the finished graphic that they sent me, like the little, like, here to show these off, in the emotes thread in Discord. But I had to message them back and be like, now that I'm actually awake, is this intentional? Which, if it is, that's perfectly fine. Just that's why they're not uploaded yet. I also need them to send me the files. I'm like anxiously watching my email. if I get them midstream, I'm gonna go upload them like fucking immediately. They are so cute. I am so happy and excited for them. Here we go. Ooh. There's a food shop. Don't you dare touch my love. I just want to murder. I'm warning you. Oh, he is angry. You have bested me. You heartless villain. Just don't hurt us anymore. We'll continue to do business with you. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you get, sir. For selling seeds outside my cult. I'm gonna break the rest of your stuff, too. Just drop food, not gold. Hell yes. Wait, why is it... Hang on. My extensions... So y'all aren't gonna be able to touch that anyways. Not what I wanted. Twit. Yeah, I probably should have turned that off. I left it to where it should No. Chat. I needed that wood. I know it wasn't y'all. Because it wasn't even popping up. Sophie. Ophelia, you can't have lemonade. The cult lemonade is not for you, girly. Send help, chat. My cat's trying to drink my lemonade. Sophie. Kofi? Jesus. Ophelia, I love you. Da 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 da. There's cat on desk. There's tarot cards. I'm so fucked for the Hecate. Well, the Hecate fight. I have no clue how we're gonna do this. Oh, we got a moon necklace. Yeah, this way, since y'all took the wood away from me. Mushroom spores for Sozo. Sophie, I am begging you not to steal my lemonade. Or please don't knock it over. That's also an option here. Okay, good. You lay down. Perfect. Guys, we have a cat. We have a cat on my desk. She's being cute. And now my headset's dying again for some reason. Why am I... Why is this a bonus? Alright. Alright, Ophi, I do need my mouse at least. probably be able to stop full charge and can't decide whether it has power or not. That's true. It's just annoying. I think it is problems with the port itself, like on the headset, because my charger doesn't want to stay in it. Settings, what's the curse button? Attack. What's Q? I don't know why I'm so big. Thought it would wear off by now. There's recycle. I don't know. Once we get the storage unit stuff figured out, I'll be able to buy a new headset. Did I get lost? No, I did not. Got a leafy lantern. Maybe he's gonna be here in like 3.5 months. Enjoy every second of a mystery. Also not fast enough at the same time. I get that. I couldn't wait for Cade to get like bigger. And then now he's just huge and I miss when he was a baby. I mean, it's not the same with a cat, but it also like kind of is. Came here to get more. Oh gosh. Why is somebody starving? Oh, I forgot to make y'all food before I left. Whoopsie. Oh god, I'm getting fucked. Yep, I got killed. And I'm on easy mode too. I promise, I have played this game before. Oh, my ring light died. Y'all think I'm weak? How about you go fight old dead gods? You know what? Hi, Neko. 1 second. Neko seems happy by that. No! Neko's not allowed to become an elder. No, 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 sir. Shoot it. Neko's not allowed to become an elder. Okay, guys. Okay. That's gross. Neko's already our elder. Oh, thank you for the head pats dice. Why are y'all so hungry? Because you won't feed us? I did feed you guys! And yes, Neko is next on the life alert list. Alright, while you guys are eating, we're gonna come yap, have our daily yap session. And then we're gonna curb stomp Neko. The AAA retirement plan. I can't tell if Dice is saying yay to being fed or curb stomping Neko. Rituals. I could be so funny and let Dorito take Neko out back in a fight. But then there's the option of it not killing Neko winning the fight. So better not curb stomp me when the time comes. Sorry, I'm going to. I just want to know how Neko has the life expanding necklace and still got old. Give me a peaceful death. So you die in a 1v1. Got it. Rituals. Alright. Bringing back Neko. So many of them. Oh god, he's a zombie. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, Neko's a zombie. This was a bad idea. Neko? Neko? Neko, quit eating people. He's eating people. Oh no. No. Oh wait, we do have that. We do have it. Okay. Neko. I need more gems. And oh shit, I have to take Neko out back again, guys. I have to murder Neko again. One of you is gonna have to fight Neko to the death. Here, we're gonna do Thoron. Alright, where's Neko? I swear to god if Neko wins this. No! Neko! I need more flowers and crystals, and I don't even have the area for the crystals unlocked yet. So Neko's just gonna keep eating people. Listen, he can be undead. We have undead followers in this cult. He just can't eat people, okay? He just can't be eating other cult members. He's just a hungry little guy. Yeah, seriously though, that is a problem. Neko eating people is in fact a problem, so I gotta go get the stuff to save him. Don't let him eat me. I can't promise that, mystery. I'm not there to protect you. I'm hunting to protect the cult. I need to get better at curb stomping them. Crusader must I could send you on a crusade. That is true. I could. That is a good way to protect mystery. But I can't send everybody on crusades. I mean, he already ate Silent Exo. He did already eat Silent. I'm just waiting for the next pop-up of Neko has eaten mystery. Oof, that hurt. Oh god. That was not a friendly relic. Okay, I'm at 27 camellas. We're gonna have to go back to... Well, we're gonna have to get that follower to replace the one Neko ate. Don't worry, Neko. We're trying to fix you. I don't know if Neko's even here. I'm not looking. Some money. And then let's get on our way. Cycle that. Oh. Okay, we got a gun. What? I got a gun. And apparently I got a relic from using the gun on an animal. Thank you, Nightshade Godslayer, for the gun. Pew pew. Weapon type godly? Oh. This is a nice pew pew now. Rescue. Yes, I want you. Yoink. Got my favorite follower form. Healing devotion. Nope, I don't want any of those. I love doing this just to get some extra food. Got no meat. This game looks so adorable. I like it. I think it's really fun. Especially when chat gives me a gun. Oh, welcome in. I got no meat. How was you? Currently, we're trying to save my mod from being a zombie. Betos. Good, just chilling. What about you? I'm doing good. I rezzed one of my mods because he got old and I didn't want him to die of old age. So he ended up being a zombie. I'm missing both of those shots. The chat gave me a gun. Save the mod. I'm gonna try my best to. I think he'll just kind of hang around until I get him eared, but he'll be eating his fellow cult members, and we don't want that. I keep missing. Because I'm gonna have to unlock the next area after Hecate to be able to get the crystals. There we go. Oh, thank you for the follow. Nature's necklace. We do need some lumber. Please. Oh, there's no Carmelas. Haha. Where'd I go? Back. Just so I can get the Camellas. So I can always retreat. Mosaic flooring. Sophie, can you not lay on my stream deck? Yeah. Oh, I'm 6 away. Move my other controller off to the side. Alright. Spiders are so cute in here. I know, I'm normally not a fan of spiders, but I've got Weber. And he's adorable. Oh, thank you for redeeming your daily sacrifice. There we go. I just need... and Carmella's. I don't need a whole lot of them. I do not need a lot, just a little. Meat. We're not gonna take any of those. Okay, this should give me all the ones I need and I can return to... Oh, Thoron reached old age. That means Neko has not eaten anybody else yet then. That's a good sign at least. That Neko isn't going chomp chomp on the rest of the cult. $37. I like my blunderbuss. There's a heart. Okay, I was about to say. Please. Just some Camillas. That's all I need in life. I have 37. Well, I can plant 3 of them. Welcome back from the ads. I'm sorry you had to go through those. They're always a very scary monster. Eligos is sick. Bed rest. Did Neko stop? Neko did not. Mystery, can I clean up your shit first? Mystery is dissenting. Mystery of all people. Alright, Mystery. Prison you go. Yeah, I gotta clean up after you guys. At least you're not starving. Mystery of all people is dissenting, though. That is a surprise. My crusader. My favorite. How could you do this to me? I don't know, I guess, like, y'all were upset when I died, so... I was on a 3-day crusade. I'm doing my best. Y'all aren't exactly the most responsible. Alright, repair. We've got beds again. I didn't do anything. Yeah, meat didn't do anything. Meat's innocent. Here, we'll even name this one after meat, since I can't do the actual... It'll follow her after. And you're a germaphobe and a natural skeptic. Oh, shit. Here, worship. What do we want? Clean environment. We're just gonna accept. I didn't even look at what traits that follower has. You are cynical, snorer, and sickly. I'm the loot monster. Alright, we're gonna do a sermon. Got Neko in the front. We're gonna do ritual fast. Just because I can do that and then I can leave for 3 days and y'all not care. Okay, we're gonna have to sacrifice Thoron before long. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry you all are mad at me. Doing my best. Get you guys some blessings. Bully my follower. Break me out of jail at Dorito. Dorito did break you out of jail. Dorito did break you out. Which means, unfortunately, you, Neko, and Dorito all get to be jail buddies. Dorito just angrily stomping over there. At least he's not shitting himself out of fear. That's mean. I need you to not leave the cult, Mystery. I need Neko to not eat anybody. I need you to not leave the cult. I need Dorito to stop breaking you both out of prison. Neko will get let out of jail as soon as he's no longer cursed. Mystery, it literally told me if I don't jail you or accept, we'll take in the sick followers. Interact, give gift. You get this necklace. In prison. We got the mods. The mods and Mystery are... I'm sorry, chat. I can't afford for y'all to... I can't afford for y'all to be dissenting like this. Wait, when did Pabre become one? Excuse me, Pabre. Okay, you are a... Alright, just building some more beds. Got the follower back up. Mystery, once you're done dissenting, you can be out of jail. Once Neko's cured, he can be out of jail. Once you're both out of jail, then Dorito can come out of jail. I'm sorry, guys. You'll be out soon. I need Neko to not munch on people. Creating paperwork, so I gotta grab it and take it to him outside. Well, tell your boss that... Are you dissenting? Oh no, you're mad that they're snoring. Okay. I was about to be like, mate, just got here. How can you be sorry, curb stomper? Cancel this one. Build. Fine. Where's the snoring bitch? Mystery. I don't like jailing you all. If you're in jail, how can you be productive for the cult? Oh, I cry when I first reached old age. Oh, except you. Bed rest. I'm gonna randomize your name. Well, you're petable. You also go to bed rest. Alright, mystery, re-educate. Education. Alright, mystery. Now that you've stopped dissenting, you can come out. I told you I would let you out when you weren't dead anymore. Well, not dead, but I'd let you out when you weren't dissenting. You stopped threatening to leave the cult. So I'm gonna bully myself. Terrified jerk. Gets finished completely next week. Well, that's good, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully it's not a bad thing. Alright, we get to go sacrifice some old folks, guys. Give a sermon before I murk everybody. Poor Neko and Dorito outside alone. He'll keep his job or not, we shall see. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully they actually do the right thing and yeet his ass. Already preached a sermon? No, guys, come back. We're doing a ritual. I'm sorry. You sacrifice me in a vow to come back as a zombie? Well, by then I'll have enough to res you and cure you. I'll be able to bring you back. Let's get some new curses. Hi, Ophi. Alright, I need to... plant these between the graves. That's gonna be the most ironic spot for them. Oh, there's Mystery. I don't know what quest I completed, but apparently Mystery did have a quest for me. Alright, they're getting healed. Quests. Let's go see Sozo, and then I'll do... Oh, I can brainwash you guys now. Yay! I'm checking on something. Do. Sorry, I'm looking for something in OBS real quick. Mystery, should I be concerned about why you're looking at the Ko-Fi link so much? Okay, I will fix that later. No, I feel like I should. I feel like I should be concerned. What reason is there to be concerned? Because that's like the second or third time you have done it. I have a calculator. Yes, I know you have a calculator. Responsible-ish. Mystery, I had to jail. Ooh, we got the frog. I had to jail your follower for dissenting. Got the bird. Okay. Can you tell with my between my feet the other day very carefully? Mystery. Mystery. That's not responsible, sir. I can't believe. Right now. Why is Scout sleeping on the ground is my question. Alright, let's get you guys some new worship stuff. 3 inches of clearance between the feet and the saw. That doesn't help. You guys are getting a little hungry. You know, that's accurate. That is so accurate. Just sit in the corner and cry. surprised you guys don't complain that I feed you spiders. Alright, which one are you? I'm sorry, Dorito. I'm sorry, Neko. I can't wait for Neko to just pop in chat and be like, why am I a zombie? I have to do this for a quest. I don't want to brainwash y'all. I don't want y'all to be all tripped out. I'm not a druggy cult leader. Let's bring someone back to life. Swipe? What do you mean swipe? Just because I didn't give you guys drugs willingly. Mystery. What am I gonna see when I look at my Ko-Fi? Mystery. Why did it clip? Thank you, Mystery. Where do you want the other sticky note? Let me add time to the bot. His Stream Elements doesn't play nice with Ko-Fi. Thank you, Mystery. Okay, I set it. What did I set the timer settings to? My last one. Yes, be responsible. More problems, more money, more problems. Thank you, Mystery. I'm fixing the timer, I promise. That was also good. Okay, that should have added... That broke the timer. Fuck, what were we at? How did I break the timer? Paycheck so I have more. Yay. Plus 48. Plus 100. 988. Because the overlay broke on me. Da, 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 da. Oh god, that means I have to play the horse girl game and you guys get baby pics. Where's the goal milestones? I have to manually do this because this timer does not play well with Alright. Where's the command? I'm sorry, I'm taking forever. Full progress. Okay. I'm so confused by this chat. I am confuzzled. Drag this over there. Okay, so now I can see chat while I'm working on this. Okay. Oh, fuck. Well, you know what, guys? That's fine. So what we're gonna do is turn this to 250. Hit save. Start timer. And there we go. I'm gonna leave those up and just pull Twitch back over to this one, pull that back over there. So thank you again, Mystery. Me. Here, so you can complete the set. Like that. Oh, that is the same size. Nice. Gotta turn. There you go. Alright, y'all aren't gonna die. And I should be good to go get... My name swings to the side. Yeah. They swing. Him. Because I have a bunch of gold nuggets. Okay, that's Silk Curdle. I don't need gems there. Yes, that would mean I have enough to put it off for 3 months. Which, thank you again. Which, chat, out of curiosity, do you want... I have some baby pictures of me on my computer. I do not have the ones in the storage unit on my computer. They are different. Do you guys want to see one now? and then see the ones from the storage unit when I get into it? Or would you like to see multiple now? Those are your options. Because I would have to stop and look and see which ones are... Did I open the wrong door? Okay, no, I opened the right door. It is anchor deep. So if we want baby pictures now... Well, thank you, Mystery. Y'all are still getting me for the week, though. I already told Mama Lunar that we were doing it. So you get a week of Lunar, yay. Oh, there comes Calamar. I don't usually give money to strangers online either, so you special. Oh, I appreciate it. Love this community. Yay. Bolt rot from... Oh god. Do you have to make my cult sick, fish dude? I love how the other one of them is just like, fuck yes. Okay. Oh wait, bingo. I have bingo things. Wait. Did Zeph come home? Oliver gets sick. Oliver dies. Oliver descents. There was one starving. Found a follower. I did a ritual. That's almost all our Cult of the Lamb ones. They will leave it double locked, but it makes it easier for me to have the time to get back into it normally. That's why I say when I get back into it, I will show you the thing. If you guys don't want one now. Got none of those. I'm sorry. I added more bingo things, so now they're just like everywhere. It's no longer as easy to get a bingo. There we go. 186 total, yep. Yep, that is exactly why it gives me so much more, like, easier time. Possessions will follow you through death. Fuck yes. And we got all the Camillas. Which, so, with our area for Spark delivery, we average 20 per delivery. So that would be about 9 deliveries, which each delivery takes about an hour. So if we do that Wednesday and Thursday, that should mean we have enough to get it paid up completely on Friday. which means I won't have to go to Parker's. Well, go to city name. I didn't finish the city name. To donate plasma. I was scared to do that. Which is funny considering I will get tattoos and piercings. But the idea of giving a stranger my blood for non-medical purposes terrifies me. Careful. Listen, there are a lot of cities that start with that. I didn't say the full city name. We're fine. I caught myself. This would not be the first time. Three times in the last week. Technically, one of them I did. I told Zeph about it and he was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." And technically... No. I mean, like, if it's not for my medical purposes, mystery. Like, if it's not benefiting me medically. Kind of thing. Does that make sense? Because I used to donate blood a lot of the time. I mean, heck, my... That was the wrong button. My senior year, I donated 5 times. Or 5 or 6. And I got the, red cord that they give for blood donations. How many crystals? We got 14. I think we need 20. Like, I can pinpoint what makes me so scared about plasma donation, though. If that tells you anything. It's because I don't know the facility. Not like it's the Red Cross. There we go. Use the stone. Just don't dox yourself too bad. If it helps, that city that I said is at least an hour away from me, if not more. Probably. But there are 3 cities near me, all an hour plus, that fit the criteria for what I just said. So, good luck. Okay, who's sick? Where's the sick one? I'm actually curious, Mystery, if you do know. Did you know what state I live in? Not worried about it? I'm just curious, is all. Like, you can ask Morg. As soon as somebody tells me they think they know something, I guess you guys want to starve. I don't want to freak out if I guess right. How about this? After stream one day, then tell me. That way I like have the holy shit, you're right. It's not while I'm live and somebody can guess by my reaction. If that makes sense. It doesn't make a difference. I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying I'm curious if it is. Like, I won't tell you if you're right or wrong. Hi, nice. How's you? Just don't want to upset you. You would not upset me in the least, mystery. I would probably be like a little bit shocked in a fun way. If that makes sense. Like, when people guess things about me, I'm like, damn, autism. No, you would not upset me at all if you knew. Because it's still far enough away from me that y'all would not be able to find my actual address. Does that part make sense? Like, it would be a fun surprise, not bad shock. If you guessed it right. My only thing is just don't guess in chat. That's the only thing. Y'all want to eat grass? Okay. I guess Neko's the odd one out with being a cannibal. And I wouldn't do that. You promise? I do promise. Like I said, you can ask Morg. Put a grass because sometimes I feel like I need to touch it. Nice, you missed it. Neko is currently a zombie. But no, when Neko pointed something out about how we figured out we were related, I immediately was fun shock. I will say Morgan and Neko do know my actual first name, and Morg has my phone number now, so. Y'all want to fast for the quest, which helps because I can. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by a Twitter notification. What's my headset at? Still says 80. Mystery, you will not be able to overstep my boundaries unless you find out my actual address and send me something. Like, entirely unprompted. As soon as Neko said give him 20 minutes and a monster, I was like, bet, here's a good place to start. I will say, even if I say my city by accident, nothing comes up for me. I have tried reverse searching myself, and I am good enough hidden, so. Quest complete. Go talk to Sozo. So you will not come off that way to me. And then I will show off Neko's zombie while I check on how much I need to. See, mystery, that's the thing, is I can find people very easily. Even if they don't tell me. I don't do it. Like, I do not go searching up my friends. But I have tracked down family members with nothing more than a first name and a general state. I still don't know what city you lived in. I just know what state you said you work in. If you've told me more, I've forgotten, which is very possible. So... Ow. Hey. You know what? Oh, I can't interact. Like, I kid you not. So... Oh, Neko was glitching out for a second. Hi, Mr. Zombie. I need 5 more 15 more mushrooms and 4 more. See, for me, nice. I care, but I don't care at the same time. Like, I don't want you guys finding my actual address, but if I happen to be near one of you guys, like, say, God forbid, I go to TwitchCon next year, then if you guys were like, hey, Lunar, I'm gonna be, like, right near where you live, I would be like, cool, come hang out. I think I've already told both Morg and Neko, if they see me, like, or they know they're gonna be here, I fully am okay with them, like, just yoinking me. Then again, I am related to Neko, so that's not. Which that is still wild to me. Okay, we're gonna get some blessings out of the way. You're still healing. Sleep up so y'all don't get sick. Right in the corner. Give me my money back. There we go. I was looking to see if I can remove the jerk trait. And just a 2-minute warning, ads are coming up soon. Like, see, if I still lived an hour from Knoxville, I would tell you guys that I lived in Knoxville. Just as, like, to give you an example. Because that, to me, that's a large enough city that you wouldn't know. Decorations, I don't need any. Faith. I need bricks. Offering statue. And then we go get the last of the crystals so Neko's not forever just jailed. I'm gonna laugh if Dorito starts dissenting because I've left him there for so long. Okay. What do you want, Arna? Wish to face them in the fight pit? Sure, my dude. Fight pit. Wait, who? Anmer versus Arna. Anmer and Arna. Am I still in jail? No, you got let go. You stopped dissenting. You were fine. See? You were not jailed. It's just Dorito to make sure Neko is still jailed. And then murder. We committed murder as a group. Get some new curses. Yep, I need to stop dissenting and give you money. It's not because of the money, Mystery. I let you go before you donated. You were gonna steal money from my cult. Alright, which one of you guys shit bricks and gave me the bricks? How'd you know I need those? Okay, back. I need to go perform another ritual. Ritual. Ascend. Wait, why can't I? Oh, I don't have enough bones. Okay. Just give me that stone. Alright, Neko. I promise. Oh, you're sick. I don't want the sick one. Ooh. Oh. Well. Oh, are you kidding me? You all are mystery sick. What, am I gonna need a whole field of the Carmelas? Funko. Cool, we get a new Knucklebones opponent. Enemies will drop twice as much. I wish we could just buy resources, that would be nice. Don't tell me that. What? Don't tell you what. Oh, that you're sick? Yeah, I'm trying to heal you guys. I was warning that she had COVID last week. Oh no. Oh no, mystery. I'm sorry. Let's get through all the follower and all the shops. Listen. Bad juju. Why you jinx it? You got cursed by a fucking giant squid. You got cursed. I think I'm blaming you in addition to therapist. I didn't do anything. That'll be a really bad omen if you perish. I'll go put you all on bed rest. Damn you. I'm gonna go put you all on bed rest while I grow enough flowers to heal you. Got enough crystals. Ooh, yes, give me the sword. Let's see, what's over here? That's the boss. But I do want that. Let's go down. wreath. Nice. Crystals. I need my crystals. Okay, I am gonna put up a poll though real quick. Or at least the cure wasn't native can be made from flowers. Oh. I'm gonna create a 5-minute poll. And that'll let you guys vote on what you want for the baby picture. I need to get back to the cult because multiple people are getting sick. There we go. That was a surprisingly easy boss fight. Oh, easy boss fight. Here's the food. Yeah, all the bones. Alright, let's go get people back into their beds. Alright. Did you crash? It doesn't show dropped frames. So it's probably just where I've got it set to where it'll try its damnedest to not. I think that might have been a bug mystery. Address. Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wake up. Scout, you can't sleep in the ground. What the fuck is wrong with Thoron? Will need to be specially healed. Oh, that sucks for Thoron. Cleaning up after y'all. Okay, we need 15 mushrooms. Oh wait, what's Thoron need? He needs 15 gems. We'll accept that. Okay, you guys want one now, one later? For the baby pick? Let me get these followers in. And while we're waiting on the mushrooms to grow for Neko to be healed, I'll... Oh, we can pet this one. I'll pull one up. But I'm gonna have to make sure it's one that you guys can't see my name on. Because there's a lot of them that my mom just straight up wrote on. She was like, this is my daughter's name and age. Alright, let me close out of that. Wrong screen. There you guys go. There is my baby picture. That was from my first birthday. This is what Cult Mommy looked like as a baby. I will put that one in Discord after stream. Actually, you know what? No, I already closed it. We'll put it in Discord after stream. And I will install the Horse Girl game tomorrow. Do you agree with the Fallen? I can't tell if that was... Whoever just gave 150? Oh, it was nice. Thank you, nice. Ah. Gotta update the goals again. Stop timer. Okay, so... 60 plus 45. Okay, so 945. Jesus Christ, y'all, I'm gonna be here a while. Okay, so that's... All the way up to the 200 goals. Go back to staff chat to grab the... One, two, three, four, five. 1, 3, 4, 5. Oh, Jesus. Okay. We fixed that. Yeah, that means I gotta buy the stuff for pickle jello, but I do have to go to the store tonight. So, I will pick up the jello for that tonight. We still have pickle juice. And make cooking stream, yes. I will have to clean the kitchen for that, though. Oh, that's gonna mean I have to explain to Mama Lunar why I have a maid dress. And why I'm streaming in the kitchen. Well, that's on me for putting it up there, chat. But thank you again, nice. I gotta get your thing ready. Make you a light blue color, because you've got your name as light blue. See, here's the thing. When Ube donated the dress, I didn't tell Mama Lunar what it was. I just put it in the closet until stream time after trying it on. Nice. If you were still here, where would you like your sticky note to go? I fixed it already, nice. I promise. Okay, flatten. Undo the flatten. Random. Okay, that means I pick. Copy. Put you on my shoulder. Give me a little nice little shoulder pauldron. So thank you again, nice. Alright, so tomorrow we do a horse girl game. You just got the thingy. I gotta buy the inflated titty for model. Neko controls the stream. Oh god, that means I have to do the one thing. Alright, chat. Oh, I didn't reset the goals. That should fix it. No, I just broke the timer again. Mama Lunar is gonna cry again. I think I forgot to hit save. I think that's what. Yeah. Set goal. Start timer. There we go. Now you guys have the timer going. Oh Jesus, this is gonna go into next week. I'm gonna be at my PC for a long time. Inflated titty? Yes. And it's gonna be chat controlled too. That's the thing. Y'all are gonna get a point redeem to work it. Oh, I need to check my VGen since we're at a good pausing point. Okay, they still haven't started work yet for the day. My emo artist is like, I'm sorry I woke you guys up. That's a forever thing. I will have to see how intensive it is for my PC to run. Worst case, it will be special occasion. Best case, it is a forever thing. But nice did just make me cry a little bit, so we're gonna call the bingo thing. Yay, the very first stream I have Lunar Cries on bingo, it gets called. Okay, I have 15 brain cells, that tracks. Okay, I did spend my divine inspiration. Okay. Never thought I'd say this, but I hope your PC can handle inflated titties. It should be able to. I just don't know for sure. Because some days VTube Studio does not play nice with my PC. Or Neko. I'm just gonna go try and hunt for more mushrooms. While those are growing. Hi, buddy. Reason, you get to go to bed rest. Please tell me you're not dead. Okay, you're not dead. Poor Neko's just over here like, let me out. Oh, that means Neko gets to clicker train me live on stream. As I go to leave for the thingy. Y'all break your beds. Gotta get back to sleep now. Work later with the donate. Please get some sleep, Nice. I really appreciate you. But please take care of yourself first. So now we're trapped. Where do you think you could find out? Yes, we will find your brother in Sapar. After we cure Neko. Usually Morg's the one in jail. You know what? Morg didn't do the thingy, but I'm gonna make Morgie her own. That's dark wood. I don't need more crystals. I need more of these. I'm gonna make the next follower get Morg. Just so I can put Morg in jail. I'm gonna see Morg with... Morg's just gonna come in with the gun emote. Go pew pew on me. Ta-da! Yeah, give me mushrooms. I need mushrooms for my pink cat. Guys, I gotta take my cat to the vet. It's eating people. He's pink and he eats people. And we're just gonna come in here, see her name, and be like, excuse me. Gold necklace. 10% chance to deal a critical hit. We do need bones. I need to resurrect a lot of people. We're gonna go check the other one. My forehead is itchy, and it's ironically right where Neko's sticky note is. We're gonna go this way, that way I can see if I can get some more mushrooms that way. I'm sorry, cat mama. Weber is no longer ill. Good. Bitey boy is fine. I like the cute little pumpkin frogs. They're so cute. Give me mushrooms. What's the mushroom spore? I need the mushroom itself. Need the mushroom. Not the mushroom spore. Scout's no longer ill. Yay! Recycle that, and then we're gonna get going back to get all the way over to the boss. I'm hoping the boss gives me mushrooms. Just because I need... to heal Neko, to get him out of jail, so I can stop losing faith from Dorito being in jail. Alright. Get some wood. Hopefully kill Hackett. Third time's the charm. Destroy somebody's house. My sword back. Cycle that. And move on. 40-minute troll only use like 6% battery. How? I have no clue. Okay, I got one mushroom, and I needed 20. So... do that. I hate destroying Klonek's stuff. He's so nice. But that way we can hopefully get more mushrooms. So we need to heal my favorite. And he's not my favorite mod. He is my favorite cousin, though. I like memeing Dorito. I feel like Dorito and Neko are tied for my favorite mods. And Mega. All three of them are my favorites. And Morg. Like, when I say I have favorite mods, I have favorite mods for different things. Like, it is hilarious to me when Dorito memes the shit out of me. Neko brings chaos. Morg is my best friend. I call Mega my wife. I don't know if that makes sense for me saying I have favorite mods. Oh, my ring light died. Let me try and plug that in real quick. Phone's charged, so I can use both chargers. Oh no. Not long enough. That's fine. I have a plan. I have the old headset charger still on my desk, but not plugged in, so I can use the old ring light's little plug-in. Okay, I am back. And y'all can see me again. And I can use my controller. So, too long didn't read on why I have a new ring light. Chat. I bought the tripod because that was one of my planned upgrades for the stream with the subathon money. Was a tripod so I could do Sable streams. I know Mystery would want to see Zeph work on my car. So it's also for that. And then there's ring lights attached to it. But where I've been getting migraines from my big ring light, that doesn't even really work that well this light at night. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my phone on a different stand. Ow, that was kind of unfair, Heckett. Oh, that was so much easier. But what I was saying is the ring light, I was like, oh, cool. I didn't recharge it, so that's why it died. It's supposed to have a 6-hour battery life. But when I did that, I unplugged my old one entirely. Oh Oh yeah, I did have 10 viewers earlier. I don't know if I have of it now, but I don't watch my thingy. We get 21 mushrooms. Good. Good, good, good. We have enough to heal Neko. And then we can let Dorito out of jail. Casually scrolling through Ko-Fi. Temperature Wakeway in the wilderness, rivers in the desert. I missed that last part. I wish that I still had like a scroll thing for Ko-Fi. Because I have 34 brain cells. Yay. I'm gonna water these because I'm probably gonna need more. Oh, dang birds. Weezon can go back to bed rest. I'm gonna bully myself. Oh, that is so cute. I didn't realize I could light that. Oh, somebody gave me their meat. Put Neko in the healing thing. Prison, release. Alright, taking my pink cat to the vet. Come on, Neko. Yay, our favorite pink cat's good. And we can release Dorito. I am just one short of healing Thoron too. Thought I saw somebody dissenting. There we go. Wrote you something. Aberim and Grena. Bless. I don't know why you're not working, but that's fine. Bless Neko. Give him a gift for where we had to put him in jail for so long. Oh, he gets a muffin! Alright, where's Scaredy Pants? Alright, Dorito. Are you back to running from me? Bless. Oh my god, that's a lot of you. Here, Dorito, you can live longer. Read mind. Where am I? Dorito looks tired. You are right there, Mystery. You are still alive and safe. And out of jail. Alright. Let's do this. Do resurrection. Do this. Wait, I can't bring back Silent. Oh, because Neko ate him. Damn it. Damn, Neko ate my cultist. Yo. Oh, you were just one off. How did I... Okay, it's not my fault you guys were yapping so late. Not my fault. Okay. We're gonna go do the Darkwood thing. Sounds like Neko needs punished. Neko doesn't need punished. We all get a little hangry sometimes. That's not Darkwood. That's not Darkwood. That's Anchor Deep. Neko just got a little hangry. It's fine. This is why we don't feed the mods, because when they get a taste for things, they get a taste for flesh. Alright, we're not here for funsies. We're here to get that one. Here to get Morg. Oh, someone's descending. Alright, Snickers, not Joe Bob. Well, Neko's got different appetites, okay? Let me get some fishy. Neko's just got a little bit different taste than the rest of us. It's fine. God, I need a new weapon. Also, Mystery, is it showing crowd control for you? Because I know you normally like to do crowd control. I just want to make sure it's working. It is. Okay, good. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. I just don't want to, like, say it's crowd control and it be broken for half the stream. Just saving up coins. Good. There we go. There we get the dude's brother. Okay, we're gonna rescue. Damn. You should make it all if it will let you. It will let me. That's the funny thing, is it will. I don't think I can change it midstream. Or else I absolutely would. Actually, I can check after this dungeon. Do... I don't like that it's making me... We're not gonna take that. I didn't like being big last time. Ow. Got the critter. And an extra half heart. Good, I need that. Berry. I don't know what the... Oh, that's the new thing. Should have picked the grapes. Just go all the way down. Oh, it's Leshy! I forgot about that. Hey, Leshy. You're not still angry, are you? Excuse me, I didn't want it to be on Leshy. Well, not on Leshy. Oh, we got a unicorn! I didn't listen to No, I said, I hope you're still not angry after last time. He can be angry about now. Well, you guys can get alcohol now. Yes, he can be angry about me shooting him now. He can't be angry about me shooting him before, because he deserved that. Get over here. Bully. Yeah. I smushed. Hi, DJ. Thank you for the lurk. And I'm glad I bullied. Alright, Zapar. Scout. Wait, why is Scout angry? Oh. Alright. Top shelf whiskey. Alright, choose form. What do we think Morg would be, chat? I know she's got a dog. I like that. I associate Morg with purple a lot. I feel like the purple and white would be better. That's what I'm putting as Morg. Alright, you can worship, but Morg. First, you must go to jail. Oh fuck, people are gonna start dissenting. Oh yeah, Brenna was dissenting. I forgot, we did have a dissenter, didn't we? I see 2 cats, so Brenna should still be there. Pour me down a top shelf whiskey. I have to make it first. I don't know how that stuff works. Because the DLC for it got added after I got the game. I don't know if it's to pay for that DLC or... I know the sex update. Here, let me get a new... Law and Order. Yes, I'm putting Morg in jail because Morg in jail. I will release Morg in a second. Alright, we need to do a team bonding exercise, y'all. And that is sacrificing Scout. Yeah, you used to be able to not breed your followers, but now you can breed them. And they can have children. Why am I being put in handcuffs, mystery? Why am I handcuffed? And why am I stinky? Why did the stinky apply at the same time? Did I fuck it up? I did fuck it up. Well, you got a free stinky with that. Team bonding exercise. Probably late now, too. They're probably all gonna be pissed I kept them up late. Oh, there's our dissenter. Hey, Brenna. Oh, no. It's just getting late. Brenna. Brenna. There's Brenna. Hey, you go to prison. Morgie, get released. Mystery. Mystery, you go for 3 days. Alright. You get to go on a fishing trip. Well, no, you're going for money. You get to go on a trip to get a loan, Mystery. You're going on a crusade. And you can't fail. I forget what I sent you for. I think it was either money or fish. Why am I getting a loan for you? I don't know. Colts are expensive? I think that's called fraud. Is it though? Yeah, you're going for coin. You're not going for fish, you're going for coin. I got some rainbow fertilizer. Now that Mystery's gone, we can feed the cult. Oh, we got another one that's old. I can't feed people with me there. Yeah, no, sorry, Mystery. Where's my food? You're getting it out of the loan money. You're buying your own food on the way back. Yay, we get some pieces. Alright, where's Morg? There's Morgie. Get blessing. Hey, there's Neko. Gift. Oh, I don't have a skull necklace. Thanks, Morg. Buying yourself a tomahawk steak? That's on you, dude. Alright, Neko. Hello. Kill Guizon? Hell yeah, he just turned old anyways. See, Neko's in on the murder. Neko is here for the murder. I will hydrate. Thank you, Mystery. Although I do have to get a drink before I do that. With cult money? That's fine. Cult money is funded by the cult, so you're really just paying for the steak yourself. Electric shrimp from Walmart. Yeah, that's what I just fed y'all. Alright. Guizon, you're getting murdered. I'm being licked. Oh, my model just lagged out. That's a bingo. Oh, I got handcuffed. I got licked. Stream has blipped. Sound got redeemed. Mic'd out. I have forgotten what I've talked about. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab a snack while I get a drink. After I sacrifice Guizon. Down in the deep, dark hole. Channel points. Oh, yeah. Actually, you got both of them. I have had to forfeit a crusade. When I had to run back to because y'all were getting sick. And I went in the wrong one. And right as I turn around to go get a drink, table's behind me. Alright, chat, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and yes, I see BRB. Did anybody else have grips as a kid? Like there were Cheez-Its, but they were like little tear patches, little pouches. Oh, there's Mysteries Bingo. I can call my bingo now. But grips were like my favorite thing as a kid, and they brought them back. And the white cheddar ones are so much better than I remember. Dorito is very upset. How about we bless him? Almost 5 hours more than when you started. Yeah. I wonder whose faults those are. Nice and mystery. I went in the wrong one again. Not my fault. Yes, it is. Used at the time of month. It's 10 minutes per $5. So you added 100 minutes with your 50. Nice added 300 with his 150. I need to go back. I meant to go to Anchor Deep that time. Because I didn't think anybody would donate. It felt reasonable for the subathon. Because I did 10 minutes per sub. Or per tier 1 sub for the subathon. And that's like $6 for the US. But when I originally made my subathon times last year, it was $5. So I was like, well, they cost more. But nobody really... Like, okay, so my first subathon only got 4. I had goals for 5 subs. This year, y'all absolutely blew me out of the fucking water. Why do you think no one would donate? Because, mystery, no one really has before. Like, you and Neko and Nice. Like, you, Neko, Nice, Mega. I'm trying to think. Everybody between... Like, everybody. I did not expect. I didn't expect it for my birthday, where you guys made it quite literally my best birthday ever. I didn't expect it for this. I thought, you know, oh, I'll try, but we'll lose the storage unit. And I cannot begin to say how grateful I am for you guys. Mega gave a bunch of bits for Pangea and crowd control stuff during my birthday. I was including birthday stuff. Because that was just last month. That's another reason and why I thought nobody would. Because, like, just last month we had the For Funsies birthday subathon. And plus, everybody's going through a tough time right now. How shitty things are. For everybody. So I was like, well, that sucks, but I'll at least try. I underestimated. Yes, I did. Not just once, but twice. Because I think y'all being able to add 9 hours to the timer before it even started. Which was my fault. We take the shitty things on together. That we do. I'm emotional support, though. Until I get a job, and then I can start making you all cry just as much. Ooh, I want the grapes. I'll just have mac and cheese more. JK, I'll be fine. I want more mac and cheese. That's the thing. That's my thing. It's like, I love mac and cheese. So that's not even a struggle meal to me. That's just delicious. Oh, speaking of, since we're doing an IRL cooking stream, I do need recommendations for what you guys would like to cook. I hit the wrong button. Oh, but it's an otter. Like, do we want to make homemade mac and cheese? Because I can do that. I will post a list of the recipes I can cook with the state Mama Lunar and I's kitchen is in. Because our oven is still broken. It's been broken since my birthday last year. Like 2024. Make king ranch chicken. I cannot make casseroles. That was what I was about to say. Our oven is broken. And I don't have a toaster oven, but I have other things. I know why our oven's broken. It's gonna be more expensive to fix than what I could ever be like, hey, y'all. Well, it won't work without oven. Yeah, I will try it when we get an oven again, though. So feel free to post the recipe. And besides, I'm sure somebody in the Discord will probably make it and like it. No, mystery. That one's a... So, there is something wrong with it that the warranty will not cover. However, the warranty will cover it come January. Because we had so many warranty claims in a certain period. Does that make sense? So if we wait till January and use what we have currently, nobody has to pay anything except for the company that sold us the shitty oven. And I prefer to not pay anything on this one. Sounds like a lemon. Yes and no. There was a defect in them, but the company, because it was a brand new model of oven when my mom bought it, when Mama Lunar bought it when she bought the house, and in late 2024, so after we had already hit the warranty thing, they finally figured it out for the fixing. So the new part will fix it. This way, I don't have to ask any of you guys for anything. Recipes in Discord? Heck yeah. Because I don't personally like ranch, but I like using ranch seasoning and stuff. Does that make sense? Alright, Thoron, we can heal. Give dispatch lunch break. So I'll holler at you later. No worries. Thank you for being here. I'll be in Discord after I get back from the store. Okay, Brenna has stopped descending. Do we want a tax enforcer or do we want a... You know what, we're gonna do loyalty. The money's not hard to get in the game. Give a sermon. Our yap session. Let me check out this recipe real quick. That actually looks like something Mama Lunar would like. And I'm sure if I tried, I could probably... I could probably make it work for... Probably make it work on the air fryer. Probably just had to break it up into, like, single-serve portions. And then air fry it. Because I have gotten very creative with the oven being broken. I have been extremely creative in getting things to work for the air fryer. My poor air fryer is, like, borderline dying. But that's okay. Let's go beat Clinko and... Well, Clunko and Bob. Hi, Tiff. Hey, Tiffy. And then we can go try to catch that octopus. Name rolls first. F. Oh shit. Damn. Let's see, can I get the... It just keeps walking all over my keyboard. I love the Knucklebones music. But yay, we won second time around. Got a nice tarot card. Sophie, you can't have lemonade. Sophie keeps trying to drink out of my lemonade. I just want you to know. Sophie, can you lay down? Be a good kitty and lay down? Thank you. That's sold out. Uh-huh. Nice, sweet oaf. I love how Clawneck's relic was a croc. Get some fishies. Oh, I was really hoping that would be the octopus. Squids, damn. Just like Animal Crossing New Horizons. Hey, there we go. We got another part of a talisman. Yay. Just finished fishing. We can always use the food. Yeah, we get a crab. Crab, 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 crab. It's a lobster. Do I need to stock up the fuel in here? Alright, we need crystals. Alright, Chad, let's go get some crystals for the lighthouse. And we can take down Calamar while we're here. Oh, God. We might not be able to take down Calamar. I just realized his name's Calamar, like calamari. Ow. I need a new sword. Well, I need a new weapon. Very badly. I don't like the axes. Hey, Clonic. I found your shoe. Whew. God, I think I did realize. I think I forgot to send my Snapchat streaks. And I know that's a silly thing to. I know that's a really stupid thing to be like, wait, I gotta pause stream for. But I have a Snapchat streak with a friend from college that's like, hang on, I will tell you exactly how long our streak is. We have had it for 1,459 days. And that between multiple hospitalizations on both of us. That streak started before I got married, chat. We have only lost it once. And that was in like, we've had it, that was before our current streak that we lost it. I think we had our streak for like 15 days, we lost it, and then the streak we got after that is the streak we have now. So, when Dorito just sent me a snap for Dorito and I streaks, that's what reminded me to check my streak with that other person. Just so you're aware. Cotton? Alright. Like, this streak is older than my dog. Just dropped food, not gold. Yay. And Rye is actually, I wouldn't say one of my closest friends. We were much closer when I was in college. But I haven't had a car since I moved back up here, so I haven't been able to go see Rye. But now that I have a car, once Rye and I are both not busy, I do plan on going and seeing her. Which she's only like an hour and a half away from me, so it's not like I'd be gone enough to cancel stream. Oh, random relic. Thank you. I don't know what it does, but that just gave me money. That was very useful. There's spiders. Thank you, Quiet Quill. Now that I can see the name. Oh, you've got the hornet thing. The badge. How was the Silk Song stream? I have not played Hollow Knight, but all the Silk Song money for the best stream game. Ow, thanks. But I really wanted to play it after watching a few Silk Song streams. I think once I get everything taken care of for Mama Lunar, after the Donathon, when I have the money, I'm gonna get both Hollow Knight games and play through them. I can gift it to you. No, 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 no. No, no. I appreciate the thought. But Chad has already done more than enough for the Donathon. I will be able to, like, within 2 weeks. Because of Chad's generosity, so. I promise you it is perfectly okay. Oh, that's a cute Kirby emote. I love seeing Kirby emotes. Alright, get a new follower, one more stage, and then we can bonk Calamar. What's funny is I haven't actually played any of the Kirby games. One of my favorite streamers has a Kirby emote. So I was like, oh, I would really like to do something like that, but pink. And I found out how he made his, so I just made my own. Eh. Whew. That was a lot of hearts lost, but that's okay. I'm here for crystals. What Oath of the Crown do for you? I don't know if that's a relic or something in-game. I don't know what Oath of the Crown does, actually. Oh, it's a certain type of curse. So how I've got the that's my current one. It would just be a different one. Swap to this curse. Yeah, I don't know if I have it unlocked yet. You are more than welcome to try. Divine inspiration unlocked. Okay. Another sleeping bag has collapsed. You dropped this crown queen. Oh, thank you. We're on the boss run for Anchor Deep, so I will be sure to use it. Make an offering. Oh. Nice. I'm still gonna take your stuff. Alright. Okay, I've got enough of those. Hi, Clonic. Increase my weapon damage. That actually seems kind of broken. Also, Shaw. What do you mean by Shaw? Just out of curiosity, because I don't know. Oh, it stuns them. That's what Hornet said. Ah. Okay, there we go. I don't like gauntlets either, but much easier to target things. So we'll do that. I get my booty kicked in this fight, that's why. What to do? Wait, am I just with my fists now? That weapon type none. I am confused. Did it just take my gauntlets? Friendly demon? Oh my god, that's so cute. Sniper. Hi. Open type godly. Heck yeah. Heal the bishops. I like my money maker. But it's such a cute one too. Got a nice crystal lantern. Flower bloom necklace. Okay, that's the boss fight. Arna's starving. Oh no. Bombs away. Hammer or... I like the got. Oh, that's more than the hammers. Oh, that's what it meant by weapon type none. Is it was all the way down to the base form. Because now it says weapon type godly. Ballsy bow. Oh, this isn't the Colomar fight. I'm one off of it then. We'll take the big gift. Cult needs some gifties. Alright, chat. It is about time for me to raid out for the night because I gotta go run to the store, get Zeph a new phone case. He had the money for it. I just need to pick it up for him. He already got it. So I'm gonna get everybody situated at the cult real quick. Make sure they're not starving. Cook. Fix their beds. Jesus Christ, sniper. Thank you. Oh, I have the divine inspiration. I can't collect more. Da da da. That was a lot of meat thrown at me. Very appreciative of it, though. Which one of you are starving? Correct. Go eat. Make you eat the fish meal. Okay, the queue is full. Mystery's back from Crusade. Fine, 34. Heck yeah, buddy. I'm gonna bless you real quick. Go get some sleep, Mystery. Alright. Buffy, that is in my way. Alrighty, chat. We're gonna raid out. There is the raid message if you don't have my emotes. If you do have my emotes, here is the one for that. I'm gonna go ahead and find us somebody to raid real quick, but we're gonna hop back to just chatting while we do that. Anyways, thank you guys so fucking much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. I love hanging out with you guys. And I did not expect any of the donos we got today. I know the goal is kind of borked. I still need to figure it out for Donothon. I'll try my best to get it fixed for tomorrow. But let me find someone to read out to. I am not kidding when I say I am blown away by the support. My friend Carita from Enchanted Coven and PJ Party is streaming, so we're gonna go ahead and raid her. I hope you guys all have a great night. Be careful. Be good to yourselves. Take care of yourselves. You are loved. You are valued. I don't care if this is your first time here, if you've been here every stream. But we will be back tomorrow at 5 to continue the Donathon. And I'm gonna go make Mama Lunar cry. I guarantee at some point Mama Lunar is gonna want to come meet you guys. But I will also install Horse Girl game for tomorrow. So we'll do Horse Girl for a bit, and then we'll do some more Cult of the Lamb. But good night, chat. Bye.